Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she stole my half-sister's inheritance and she's the reason our grandfather disinherited me? I'm 17, female. About 8 years ago, my dad died in an accident. He had a daughter, Sarah, who's 3 years older than me. She was 12 at the time. My dad left everything to my mom, under the impression that she'd take care of both me and Sarah. Her mom passed away a long time ago, but my mom didn't want to, so she handed her back, and she was raised by the various relatives on my dad's side. I saw her relatively regularly, but she avoided my mom, and there were clearly tensions between them. I now know my mom left her no money either. She took the entire estate and life insurance money from my dad, and she still owns the assets, and continues to insist my dad left them to her and not to Sarah. A couple of weeks ago, our grandfather announced his plans for his estate. He has 3 children, counting my dad. He's decided to split his assets 3 ways, one representing each child. Then he said he splits each segment 50-50 between the parent and their children to give the children a head start in life, as all the grandchildren are between 15 and 25, with the exception of my dad's 3rd, which is going entirely to Sarah. He mentioned Sarah was treated unfairly all her life, and by her stepmother who already took her share of her dad's inheritance, and as a result he's making things right. He told me personally that he doesn't blame me, but as the sole inheritor of my mom's assets, I should be okay anyway. He mentioned I'll receive a nominal amount from the estate, roughly a few thousand, but not more. My mom is livid about this, and she believes my dad's share should have been treated similarly to other children, as in half of it going to his estate, which she inherited, the other half split between me and Sarah. Her argument is that my dad already decided who should get his share and it's her. She's actually trying to get legal advice and claims she will contest the will. I don't get her. My grandfather is alive and well. What is there to contest? At the end of the day, it's his money. And my mom's actions have resulted in me being disinherited. So I told her point blank that maybe she shouldn't have stolen Sarah's inheritance, and she didn't like it. Claims I'm disinherited because my grandfather is disrespecting our father and is playing favorites, rather than anything to do with her, and accused me of siding with him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mother frankly is trash. She stole from your half-sister. You are a good person for understanding the situation. Your mother is not going to get very far with her lawsuit. No one is owed an inheritance, much less a thief like your mother. Hopefully your grandfather lives several years more, and that what you are left does not pass through your mother's greedy paws. I doubt you will see a penny of it otherwise. Thieving trash. She was entrusted with money in the belief that she would take care of her husband's 2 daughters, and she kept it all for herself. Greedy, selfish, dishonest. I'm sorry, OP, your mother is a Disney villain. Thankfully, you take after your dad. Not the a-hole. She stole from a 12-year-old child, then thinks she deserves dad's share of granddad's estate. That is a whole special level of selfish greed. Thank God OP takes after her father. We have a special 4-letter word for people like her mom, and it starts with a C. Not the a-hole. Your mother doesn't sound very nice and definitely sounds greedy AF. Like she hasn't had enough, she also wants from your grandfather. Your father holds some of the blame here. He left his estate to his wife, expecting that she would pass along money, but in what way? Was she supposed to separate some of it off right away, ensure you were both included when she dies? Have you received money whereas your sister hasn't? Your dad should have made sure some went to both his children in whatever way he wanted. On to the matter at hand. Does your grandfather know that your mother is spouting about lawyers? From what I understand, my dad believed Sarah would live with me and my mom, and she'd take care of us both, and eventually leave everything to us equally. I don't know if Grandpa does. My mom has talked to him about this, but I'll give him a heads up too. When talking to him, maybe make him aware that she is threatening to disinherit you because you stood up for your sister. So, let's say your mother does actually leave everything to you. Were you planning on cutting your sister out? She hasn't threatened to disinherit me. That would be a lie and manipulative on my part. No, if my mom leaves something to me, I always plan to share with Sarah. But my mom is expected to be alive for another 40 or so years, so this is not relevant now. Next story. Am I the a-hole if I do not give my full inheritance to my brother? My brother Joe and I are the legal beneficiaries of my parents' large estate. The inheritance is divided equally. Joe and my parents had a bad relationship for many years. He spent years without talking to them or me while living in their house. He patched up with my mother and I after my father's passing away. He continued living with my mother, rent-free. I live in another state, but I had arranged a caregiving service for my mother and paid for this service. My brother Joe has always been a bit unstable, and I've wondered if he has some sort of untreated or unresolved issues. He sent me multiple messages the last 2 days, and I cannot make out if he is unstable, confused, or if it's just the greed talking. Our legal will and document states that we should have equal division of our parents' assets. This could mean selling all the properties and dividing up the money equally. Another option is that one of us could buy the other one out. Lastly, we could decide how we want to divide up the properties based on valuations. Joe wants to live in our parents' house for the rest of his life, and he wants to continue using the income from our rental properties until they're sold, or until he dies, whichever comes first. He said nothing about the other liquid assets that are to be divided, but he does think we should all get the same amount of the inheritance. He started this whole mess by asking me to give up my share so he can get 100%. For added context, a large amount of liquid assets went to Joe after my father's passing due to nomination. Dad passed away suddenly. I moved out for college, made my life in a different place from Joe, and he thinks I'm wealthy because of where I work. My brother is older than me by 10 years, and he's well into his 40s. None of this makes sense to me. If all of this is coming from a place where he needs professional help, I don't want to make things worse for him. What do you all think? Edit. To add, lawyers are involved and they think it will be 50-50, and more for me if I let them calculate his rent for the years living in my parents' house, 50% repayment for the caretaking service, etc. I cannot make out if he is greedy or coming from a place of mental instability taking advantage of my goodwill. I'm just posting here to see what unknown strangers think of it. Will I be an a-hole to act assuming he is just a greedy man? What I want, if Joe is unstable and needs help, I do not want to aggravate him and would rather wait out a bit before our family lawyers take any further action, like sending him a letter, for example. I do care for my brother's well-being. Your brother is already getting more than he deserves. Do not give him any more than he is legally entitled to. Get a lawyer to help you deal with all of this. Keep in mind that if there are rental properties and he has been collecting rent, you are entitled to half. Selling the assets may be the best thing, because then he will be able to easily buy you out of your half of the house and your half of all the furnishings and other bits in the house, such as jewelry. Make sure what you spent for caregivers is deducted from the estate before dividing, emphasizing that although he was living there, he wouldn't take care of her. Keep in mind that you are owed half of fair market value of the house, not a family discount. Exactly, because how is he going to maintain parents' house, property taxes, and maintenance? He wants to live bill-free for the rest of his life. He's already done nothing with his life and got by living off his parents. Time to grow up. OP not the a-hole, but it's not your job to support your brother. He needs to figure out life. It's way past time. Split everything 50-50. Sell everything, because being in a financial anything with him is going to turn into a mess. He may or may not have mental health issues, but it's not on you to figure it out. Not the a-hole, I would be inclined to revert to the original 50-50 plan outlined in the will. Greedy boy should not get extra. He had years of free rent and you paid for the caregiving service. How exactly is he entitled to more? Yeah, don't try to complicate matters. He wants to go off the rails, so now everything will be by the book. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking unnecessary money out of my daughter's pocket? Basically, I have a daughter, Emily, 16, female, from a previous marriage. My wife, Sasha, has a son the same age, Mark, 16, male. Mark doesn't stay with us that often. He prefers to stay with his bio dad. That being said, when he is here, I find Mark to be a pretty good kid, polite and respectful. His dad decided to take a trip for work in the last few weeks of school, so Mark's here for a bit. He's out of the house most of the time and doesn't take up much space. He does get kind of grumpy when there's too much going on around him, especially noise. But for that, his favorite thing are these expensive noise-canceling headphones which he almost always has with him, a present from his dad. Emily's school has already finished, so she's home. The problem is that the room Mark is sometimes has miscellaneous items put in when he's not here, and therefore Emily seems to think it's fair game to go through his stuff. I've told her to stop, but Sasha hasn't been taking it seriously in my opinion, saying that most of Mark's stuff is easy to replace. The big problem happened when Mark accidentally left his headphones in his room, and Emily accidentally snapped them. Mark found out when he came home from school and flipped. He shouted at her, saying she was spoiled without anything to back it up, loud enough that my wife and I heard it from the other room. Sasha wanted me to calm things down, which I did, but I also told Emily she's replacing them. Thing is, Mark's dad offered have someone get him a new pair immediately, and that it wasn't a problem. I said Emily would pay him back, and I'm sticking with it. Emily and Sasha think that's unfair, since Mark's dad can afford to buy 10 more. But I don't think you get to break someone's stuff and not pay for it. Those aren't the values I was raised with or what I want for my daughter. That being said, I do realize in this case it's kind of unnecessary, and there may be better ways for her to make it up to him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. I'm sorry, but there is no way 16-year-old snapped headphones accidentally, especially good quality noise-canceling ones. I think your daughter knew exactly what she was doing. She probably knew the importance of it to him too. She should pay back regardless. She should apologize sincerely, and then you all clean his room out. And while he is not present, it is locked. He gets the key. Not the a-hole. It might be worth bringing her to counseling. Perhaps she's angry about your relationship with Sasha and punishing your stepson? I'm a bit confused about this. Does Mark not have his own room? Whose miscellaneous items are left in his room? Why is his room used as storage space when he isn't there? Why does Emily go through his stuff? It is his room, but when he's not here for weeks, sometimes months, people will leave a couple of things in the empty space. It's a pretty small house. We tidy and clean before he arrives, of course. I think you should perhaps stop using Mark's room as a storage space. It's a bit unfair that his possessions get lumped in with your family's unwanted stuff. It also means that if your daughter is looking for something, there's a likelihood that she might damage something that Mark owns. Not the a-hole for making your daughter pay for his headphones. Just don't expect her to be happy about it. You know how teenagers are, LOL. Next story. Am I the a-hole for insulting my son-in-law after I told him that his son is not going to get anything from me when I die? I am 63 male. My daughter has a stepson and my bio grandson. I own a few ancestral homes, and I gave one to my daughter. But the one I live in will be going to my bio grandson after I die, and everything else I own. That's how it's always been. That's how it's always been, and everyone knows this. My daughter was visiting the other night, and randomly, my son-in-law brought up my will, and he asked what his son will be getting, and I was taken aback and just laughed. But then I realized he was serious, and so I told him he is getting nothing. He got annoyed and said if he treats my bio grandson like his own son, then why can't I do the same for his son and let him inherit something too? I said it's a sad day when a man's so greedy that he has to use a child to get something that's not his. Cue his puny puffed up chest and his childish tantrum. He's lucky my back is out because I would have planted my foot where the sun don't shine in his backyard. Punk! My daughter was dragging him out. My wife thinks I should have left it at nothing to keep the peace, and my daughter hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the a-hole? I can't believe he even asked you something like that. Who does that? I wouldn't ask my own parents something like that, let alone an in-law. Definitely not the a-hole. Someone who has no class, that's who. It's entirely different if they are your parent, and you want to make sure they have their wishes documented and sorted. I think it is rude for anyone to ask about what details are in another person's will, especially asking for something whether it be for yourself or someone else. I am sure this will be a point of contention with your son-in-law. If it comes up again, you may want to say something along the lines of, "My will is my personal business till the day I die," and let the subject drop. Not the a-hole. Is your bio-grandchild receiving anything from his family? Nope. That's so morbid and tacky that he just randomly brings up at freaking dinner. So, father-in-law, when you finally kick the bucket, what are we gonna get? Just so gross, not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for making my cousin sleep on the couch after she turned my bedroom into her influencer studio? Okay, so, I, 22 female, live in a small apartment with one bedroom. I recently let my cousin, 19 female, stay with me for a few days while she was in town for a concert. She's super into TikTok and Instagram, like full influencer vibes, ring lights, full glam makeup at 9 a.m., filming herself brushing her hair, the works. I was totally fine with her crashing at my place, even gave her my bedroom while I took the couch. I had a busy week, didn't want to entertain. But when I went into my room on the second day to grab my charger, I found she had rearranged my entire room. Like full-on moved my bed, pushed my desk to the corner, covered my mirror with one of those LED heart frames, and had a tripod in front of my window with a do not disturb filming sign on my closet. I asked her, nicely at first, if she could move things back and maybe chill with a full studio setup since it's still, my room. She said, "This lighting is perfect and your room has better vibes than my apartment back home." Like, okay, but it's still my bed you're using as a prop. So that night I told her she'd have to sleep on the couch from now on. I was taking back my room. She got super offended and said I was ruining her content and being territorial. She left the next morning and hasn't spoken to me since. But her Instagram story had some vague post like, "Some people don't support your grind." Am I the a-hole for reclaiming my room and making her sleep on the couch after she turned my bedroom into a filming set? Not the a-hole. You were being territorial because she was invading your personal territory. She's right, you don't support her grind any more than she respects your home and your bedroom. She is a very self-centered diva. Hopefully she will not ask or crash at your place again. Exactly. Like, yes, I was being territorial because it's literally my territory. I was fine with her being here, but the second she turned my bed into her studio couch and slapped a do not disturb sign on my closet like I'm her assistant, nah. I don't mind supporting her grind, just not when it hijacks my entire living space. Hopefully next time she visits, she books a hotel with great vibes and built-in ring lights. Count your blessings that this entitled freeloader has gone no contact. If she does contact you again, it will because she wants something from you that is free.